Alright, hi everybody, let's do a downright dirty knife review. This is my experience with the Mar Hawk Ultralight. I've had this knife and carried it, wow, a lot over the last 4 years. So I've had this for 4 years. It's been with me almost on every holiday. I travel a lot, and this has been to the most northern point in Europe. It's been to Thailand a couple of times. All over Europe, basically. I've yet to go to the Americas, but I'm sure I will take this one with me. So this knife for 4 years. There's a lot of reviews out there on this knife, and especially initial reviews. And I think the opinions on this knife are they're not always the best. I don't really understand why. First of all, it's a very, very elegant. This is the Hawk Ultralight. So this is the smallest ultralight they make. So the size. It has a 2.75 inch blade. Overall length is 6 inches. And it weighs less than an ounce. So I'm just reading this off what's it called? Knife Center. And the weird thing is that it seemed to be discontinued. No idea about that, but it would be a shame if this was discontinued. Because I think this is a great everyday carry pocket knife. Okay, so just for a little bit of size comparison. So this is the Victorinox Cadet. Another great knife. Don't have to tell you about it. This is the Spyderco Delica. This knife is from 2010 or something. I have to do a 10-year review in it should be 2020, something like that. Love this thing. Anyway, size comparison. Another size comparison is to my custom. This is a knife made by a very by a relatively unknown German knife maker named Markus Becker. And he's actually local to the area where I live in, and I have to make a video on this thing. I do, because it's very special. Anyways, for size comparison, this has I think it's a 3-inch blade. But back to the Elmar. I mean, check it out. This is a beautiful knife. It has the black micarta scales. Beautiful scales. I love this. I love the look of this. If I hadn't loved it, I wouldn't have kept it. Really. This is a perfectly made knife. Fit and finish on this thing is wow. Absolutely wow. Especially since it's held up over such a long time. And I've whittled wood with this. Did a lot of food prep, like just use it as a small paring knife. Food prep, everyday carry tasks. Cut a little bit of cardboard here, cut a little bit of strings here, there. I mean, and it just used it as a normal pocket knife, and I just really enjoy it. Now, for the size, it's great to carry in your pocket. I mean, it disappears. You can carry it in your fifth pocket on your jeans, and it disappears there. And since it weighs less than an ounce, I don't have my scales here, but since it weighs less than an ounce, it's virtually invisible in your pocket. You don't feel it. Sometimes I have to check. if it's even there. So, see that? Man, this thing is super, super smooth. It is incredible how much this knife has broken itself in. And when you get it new, it has to break in. There are no washers in here. So it's steel on micarta. And I believe the reason there are no washers in here is because the micarta, as you can see, the micarta polishes down, just like on the handle scales, on the inside of the pivot. And once it's broken in, it's just, wow, it's super, super smooth. There is you have to overcome the pressure of the rather short lock bar compared to, let's see, the Delica. The Delica has a normal backlock, and the lock bar of the Delica is quite a bit larger. Hang on, get the autofocus in, and you know, the lock bar is the point where you push down and where the bar engages. That's the lock bar back here. So you push down and you have a lot of leverage here, a lot more than you have on this here. That doesn't mean it's hard to disengage. It just means there is a little bit more resistance, and that's good. I mean, that's really good. You want that because, first of all, you can flick it out, like I just did. You can flick it out rather easily, and you can just as easy disengage it. And as you can see, it's flawless executed. When you go over this knife, you don't feel any pins sticking out or anything in here. I'm having trouble with the focus right here. You don't feel that. It just looks good. And I love the fact that it's pinned and not screwed on, because I think it looks 1,000 times better. I wish this was pinned as well. And it's super tight. I'm holding the phone with my left hand. I can't show you, but it has no blade play at all. It is super, super tight. So the thumb studs are perfect as well. They are very nicely designed, very perfectly machined. They are easy. They are not hard on your fingers at all. They're just easy to get in and open that knife. And the cool thing about it, since they're set so far back, they don't interfere with the cutting at all. Like, you have the full, let's say 2.5 inches of cutting edge. You can use, and without any interference of the thumb studs. There are a couple of knives, for example. Let me think. For example, you know what I mean. This Emerson, for example. You know, when you cut on this point and you're cutting something like that, the thumb disc gets in the way. On this here, it doesn't. I mean, that's one of the advantages of the hole, for example. And so you have the full length of the cutting edge just to yourself. It's a beautiful edge. The logo has held up really well, over the time. Still super legible, really nice. Cannot stress this enough. Quality is out the roof. AUS 8 FM code Japan, and these are made in Seki City in Japan. And as you can see, the steel is AUS 8. And what was the new price of this? Oh, hang on. Let's check Amazon. And no. Anyways, they're not cheap. They're not cheap at all. They are for the size. Okay, so Blade HQ had one, the Talon one. That's the normal blade shape with a swedge up top here, and it's for $104. So let's say $110. $104 here as well. That's exactly this one here. Okay, so let's say $100. For $100 you can get a knife in S30V made in America, no problem. And one of the largest critiques of this knife is just the steel and the materials. So micarta is cheap, AUS8 is cheap. So why would you pay $100 for this? Well, that might be micarta is cheap, but you have to remember Elmar is a really small company, like very, very small. They have put out a lot of knives over the years, and the amount of knives that Elmar himself and I think who overtook the company, I think it was his wife and now it's one of his sons. I might be wrong about that, but and the iconic designs that came out of this company, you have to remember it's a very small family-owned company. So there's that. I don't think they produce a lot of volume, that they have a lot of volume in their knives. And then comes the amount of labor that gets into the knife. Everything here is polished. Everything here is perfectly executed. The fit and finish of this, seriously, you pay $410 for a Sebenza, or I think a small Sebenza would compare really well to this, but you pay $250 more, $250 more for a small Sebenza, and you get similar fit and finish. I would have no trouble to compare this to the fit and finish of a small Sebenza, because this is extremely well made. The grind, everything was perfect. When I got this, it blew me away. At the same time, I bought a Sebenza and a couple of customs and all that. But for the money, this knife is just extremely well made. And the fact that it's held up so well and developed no side-to-side play that you cannot adjust if you should develop it, just speaks volume of the great fit and finish. And I think the same factory that produced this knife is the one that produced for Spyderco the Cali 3. The old Cali 3s, they were pinned as well. They had a similar construction and similar fit and finish with all flush pins and all that. So I think they might be the same factory. So coming back to the value. So fit and finish, low production numbers. And that's where larger companies like Spyderco can produce something like this for $60. Sell something like this for $60. Production is much less. And it's basically the volume you're able to sell. I mean, the volume you're able to make and the volume you're able to sell for that price. So I'm sure you could explain it better than I can. But anyways. So, and then you have the steel. So AUS8 is a cheap steel, but it's a steel that is very, very well understood. And sure, there are other steels that are just as good or even better understood and used in the industry. However, the way they heat treat this steel and the grind they put on it is just amazing. I mean, this is a flat grind. It's very, very thin. What's the blade thickness? I'm trying to find it in centimeters. It's trying to find it in centimeters, but it's 2 millimeters thick. 2 millimeters. So this is an extremely well cutter, and you have to remember the size. I mean, look at that, the size, right? So this functions in the same role as a Swiss Army knife blade, and the heat treat is just exceptional. I mean, it holds an edge as good as in S30V. Seriously, I have no negative experiences at all, even in cutting hardwoods and all that. And I've never experienced like any chips or bends, for example. I've had that with VG10. Like there were small chips inside from cutting hardwood, but with this one, nothing. So it's like, I mean, it's a bad comparison, but Buck, for example, makes 420HC steel, uses that, and they've used it for 50 years. And they still use it because it works. I mean, sure, their knives are a lot cheaper than this, but they found a steel that suits their purpose just as well as any. And if you focus too much on and just say, oh, this is just AUS 8 and this is way too expensive for AUS 8, which is a cheap steel that you can get in your, I don't know, $20 Rat 1 or Rat 2 or whatever they cost, then yeah, if you just focus on this, you might bring that argument. But it's very, very well executed, and I have no troubles at all. In fact, I welcome this steel because it's just super easy to sharpen, and when you're out and about and you're out traveling, you don't want to bring your whole sharpening system so you can touch up your S110V steel or your ZDP 189. No, just take this Spyderco double stuff, throw it in your pack, have a lightweight. Oh, it's not lightweight, but it's small and compact. And you can just touch up the blade, and you have a razor sharp blade again. So, and that's why I love this. I mean, it's uncomplicated, yet very elegant, a pleasure to carry, a pleasure to use. It looks very good. I've gotten a lot of compliments on this knife, how good it looks. It feels very good in the hand. I get a full 3.5, let's say 3.5 finger grip on this thing, and it's very easy to control, especially with your pointer. And I cannot recommend this enough. And then you go back and you look at, oh yeah, these materials and these materials. This knife is more than the sum of its materials. This is one that is really, really well thought out, flawlessly executed, and just a special knife, I think. Together, my black micarta companions. So my Randall number 14, also black micarta. This has been a really long video. I don't think I ramble a lot. I'm sorry about that. But this is just a great knife, and you should try it out. You should really try it out and stop looking at the spec sheets and the micarta and AUS 8 for $100. So thank you. But you really should try it out. And the larger versions as well, the Falcon and the Eagle. That's a 4-inch knife, and that's less than 3 ounces. It's super light. I mean, it's amazing. And micarta is super strong, so you cannot flex this with my. You can flex this, for example, and my Endura I had, and you can flex it, but this is super, super strong knife. And if I get a chance to try out the Eagle, I will. But for now, this is my pocket knife, and it's been for 4 years like that, and it's been a real pleasure. Thanks for watching. Sorry about this super long video.